Thursday, February 3rd, 1944. Dear Kitty, invasion fever in the country is mounting daily. If you were here, on the one hand, you would probably feel the effect of all these preparations just as I do, and on the other, you would laugh at us for making such a fuss. Who knows, perhaps for nothing. All the newspapers are full of the invasion and are driving people mad by saying that, in the event of an English landing in Holland, the Germans will do all they can to defend the country. If necessary, they will resort to flooding. With this, maps have been published on which the parts of Holland that will be under water are marked. As this applies to large parts of Amsterdam, the first question was, where shall we do if water in the streets rises to 1 meter? The answer given by different people varies considerably. As walking or cycling is out of the question, we shall have to wade through the stagnant water. Of course not. One will have to try and swim. We shall all put on our bathing suits and caps and swim under water as much as possible. Then no one will see that we are Jews. Oh, what nonsense. I'd like to see the ladies swimming if the rats started biting their legs. That was naturally a man, just who screams the loudest. We shan't be able to get out of the house anyway. The warehouse will definitely collapse if there is a flood. It is so wobbly already. Listen, folks, all joking apart, we shall try and get a boat. Why bother? I know something much better. We each get a hold of a wooden packing case from the attic and row with a soup ladle. I shall walk on stilts. I used to be an expert at it in my youth. Hank Van Stanton won't need to. He'll be sure to take on his wife back. Then she'll be on stilts. This gives you a rough idea, doesn't it, Kit? The chatter is all very amusing, but the truth may be otherwise. A second question about the invasion was bound to arise. What do we do if the Germans evacuate Amsterdam? Leave the city too and disguise ourselves as best we can. Don't go, whatever happens, stay put. The only thing to do is remain here. The Germans are quite capable of driving the whole population right into Germany where they will all die. Yes, naturally, we shall stay here, since this is the safest place. We'll try and fetch Copuius and his family over here to come and live with us. We'll try and get a hold of a sack of wood wool, then we can sleep on the floor. Let's ask Mike and Koopas to start bringing blankets here. We'll order some extra corn in addition to our 60 pounds. Let's get Hank to try to obtain more peas and beans. We have about 60 pounds of beans and 10 pounds of peas in the house at present. Don't forget we've got 50 cans of vegetables. Mommy, just count up how much we've got of the other food, will you? 10 tins of fish, 40 tins of milk, 10 kilos of milk powder, 3 bottles of salad oil, 4 preserving jars of butter, 4 ditto of meat, 2 wicker-covered bottles of strawberries, 2 bottles of raspberries, 20 bottles of tomatoes, 10 pounds of rolled oats, 8 pounds of rice, and that's all. Our stock's not too bad, but if you think that we may be having visitors as well and drawing from each reserves each week, then it seems more than it actually is. We have sufficient coal and firewood in the house, also candles. Let's all make little money bags, which could be easily hidden in our clothing in case we want to take money with us. We'll make lists of the most important things to take should we have to run for it, and pack rucksacks now in readiness. If it gets that far, we'll put 2 people on watch, one in the front and one in the back loft. I say, what's the use of collecting such stocked food if we haven't any water, gas, or electricity? Then we must cook on the stove, filter and boil our water. We'll clean out some large wicker bottles and store water in them. I hear nothing but this sort of talk the whole day long. Invasion and nothing but invasion. Arguments about suffering from hunger, dying, bombs, fire extinguishers, sleeping bags, Jewish vouchers, poisonous gases, etc., etc. None of it is exactly cheering. The gentlemen in the secret annex give pretty straightforward warning. An example is the following conversation with Hank. Secret Annex. We are afraid that if the Germans withdraw, they will take the whole population with them. Hank. This is impossible. They have the trains at their disposal. Essay. Trains? Do you really think they put civilians in carriages? Out of the question. They could use Shanks Mar. Dussel always says. I don't believe a word of it. You look on the black side of everything. What would be their object in driving all the civilians along with them? Don't you know that Goebbels said, if we have to withdraw, we shall slam the doors of the occupied countries behind us. They've had so much already. Essay. Do you think the Germans are above doing such a thing or too humane? What they think this is, if we have got to go down, then everybody in our clutches will go down with us? Tell that to the Marines. I just don't believe it. It's always the same song. No one will see danger approaching until it is exactly on top of them. But you know nothing definite. You just simply suppose. Secret Annex. We have all been through it ourselves, first in Germany and then here, and what is going on in Russia? Heinrich. You mustn't include the Jews. I don't think anyone knows what is going on in Russia. The English and the Russians are sure to exaggerate things for propaganda purposes, just like the Germans. Secret Annex. Out of the question, the English have always told the truth over the wireless, and suppose they do exaggerate the news. The facts are bad enough anyways, because you can't deny that millions of peace-loving people were just simply murdered or gassed in Poland and Russia. I will spare you further examples of these conversations. I myself keep very quiet and don't take any notice of all the fuss and excitement. I have now reached the stage that I don't care much whether I live or die. The world will still keep on turning without me. What is going to happen will happen, and anyway, it's no good trying to resist. I trust to luck and nothing but work, hoping that all will end well. Yours, Anne.